Canelo Alvarez, Terrence Bud Crawford, the most anticipated fight over the past 50 years, now that we know what it is. Here, what I'm about to tell you is what you can only find in story boxing gyms, and it's something that only you will hear there, but you're going to hear it now because I don't think that any of you guys who are watching this fight do not understand what I've been saying for the past 25 years about weight classes. But today I'm going to go inside and give you a prediction, and not only a prediction, but I'm going to break it down so that you can just stop concentrating on who you like and just go off for the data, the facts. What happens when you go up against a guy 2 weight classes above, and what would a guy that's 2 weight classes above you feel whenever he is in the trenches with someone who has all of the savage package, the skills, the mindset, the mentality, all of those things. It take a lot out of you when that's up against the best fighter in the world versus the most storied name in this generation. This is what we're about to get into. So I'm going to break this down so that it's really simple and plain and simple. You can check in and let me know where you're watching this from. We're about to get into something that you need to save this post, because when we talk about going into this fight, after I looked at the press conference, I saw a lot of things. I saw a few things that I think most of you may have overlooked. But the first thing that I noticed is that Canelo Alvarez, when he looked at Bud Crawford, when they were sitting across from each other, that he was more like the hungry student. The hungry student that when he first started boxing had something to prove. He did not go in there with all the ego and pride. And when you watch Canelo, you can look at the demeanor that he's almost taken a back seat. When I looked at Bud, I said, that's the dangerous guy right there. He's the most dangerous man in the world right now. Now, I want you to pay attention to when I say right now, because right now, I'm speaking literally right now. He's the most dangerous with vitriol coming off of the tongue. He's the most dangerous when it comes down to belief and confidence. He's the most dangerous when it comes down to all of the training that he's done to prepare himself from going from 147 to 154 and from 154 to 168. There's not a lot of guys that would even attempt to do something like that. And if they did, their team would not allow them if their team had common sense. This is the thing. Not everybody has a team that is totally coupled with experience and common sense to take their fighter out of the equation when he wants to go up, because he does not understand. He's a young athlete going through the rankings, trying to be legendary. But when you talk about when they sat at that press conference and Canelo took a back seat, if you go back to Floyd Mayweather versus Zab Judah, see, Zab Judah was trying to make his name, cement his legacy. And if he beats Floyd Mayweather, he does that. He believed he was going to beat Floyd. He believed in his bones that he was going to beat Floyd. Why? Because he had no other reason to doubt it. He knew he was quicker than Floyd. He knew he was stronger than Floyd. He knew that he had more fast combinations than Floyd Mayweather. Guess what else? He was faster of feet. So these are the tangibles, right? But fights aren't measured in tangibles. Fights are measured in intangibles. Mindset, courage, fortitude. Everybody who's ever fought before, everybody who's ever had a fighter every single individual that has ever laced them up and went into a fight thinking that the fight is going to be measured on physical abilities always found out different. That's why there were only a couple of people that retired undefeated. Joe Calzaghe, Rocky Marciano, Floyd Mayweather Jr. Right? That's the reason why, is because most people do not understand how important it is to know that physical abilities only go so far. And then there comes the intestinal fortitude, the intangibles, mindset. What is your mindset whenever it gets hot? What happens when you start to go through things that did not surface in your training camp and your sympathetic nervous system is triggered? Oops, here comes a bout with neuroplasticity. I didn't see this coming. You see, yesterday when I saw the press conference, I saw each and every one of these characteristics. I saw Canelo Alvarez sitting over there like a kindergartner student, humbled because he's no longer at home where he can control every adult. He's in a place where no one knows him and barely knows his name. And no matter what they do, that child will not feel confident enough to act like an asshole in school. So when you think about the positioning that Canelo Alvarez took during the press conference yesterday, he was deciding, I'm not trying to win this bout. Zab Judah won the press conference. Zab Judah won the face-off. Zab Judah won every phase of the fight with Floyd Mayweather, except when it came around to getting to the 5th round. And every single thing that matters in boxing comes into play. Now, let me get into it. Number one, mindset is everything, right? It's the actual pivotal line, or what we call the ultimate divide between the world's greatest fighters and those who want to vie for that position. But the difference is this: you just don't give that medal away because you want to have it in your trophy case. Bam. This comes with understanding there is much more to boxing than how you look when you gain 20 pounds. Look, if that was the case, every single fighter that came up in weight just on cool factor alone, Sugar Shane Mosley can tell you best. When I went up to fight Winky Wright, 7 pounds north of me, from 147 to 154, and I'm going to hope that you agree that Shane Mosley was great. I hope I don't even have an argument with that. Now, was Winky Wright great? Super good. Total savage package. But I haven't heard anyone mention Winky Wright's name in 12, 13 years. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about a great fighter in Shane Mosley going up in weight class, one weight class. And I'm not trying to sway nobody because I could care less what you think. But what I'm trying to do is break down what you're overlooking. History shows it. The science labs show it. It's physics. There's a common denominator with people going up and not understanding what happens to your body. And that's what I'm going to break down so that it's super clear and you can see the signs as the fight is progressing and you are not sure what it would have been. But you watch this show and you got the data. So the moment you start seeing it, you're going to remember what I said. I don't get paid for this, but hopefully You'll pay for this with attention. When Winky Wright waited for Shane to come up, Shane took the fight. Shane ate jabs and body shots all night because the first thing he realized when he loaded up and swung on Winky Wright is it doesn't matter how much weight you gain, you're going to be a welterweight on the fight night. And he learned the hard way. Every time I hit him, quote, unquote, it was like my hands were in pillowcases. And all I heard was puff, puff, puff. And that's what it felt like. They felt like to him. My hand had pillows on them. And that is the actual understanding of what the bones have not done because you've gone up in weight. You may have had the mass on your hands and in your muscles, but what does not translate is what happens inside of the bone. If you are going up in weight, if you get hit by a 200-pound man and you're a 147-pound person, it's not that your muscles can't take the punch. It's what happens when the punch presses into and then through your bone. Bone is built up by calcium. Okay. The density of calcium that a man at 200 pounds has versus a man that's 147 pounds is astronomical. Therefore, if he was to put his back against a wall and a man that's 200 pounds was to vie and put all of his weight into a punch and punch through his chest, it'd happen just like that. He punched through his chest. Okay, so what we are doing is going through a physics lesson so that when you go through the actual lesson of what they're going to need to do, then it's going to make more sense because I'm not doing anything to be biased. What trips me out is every single time you see a fight matched up, immediately you know exactly who's going to win. As the fight goes on, your idealization starts to transform. And then that transformation turns into, oh, yeah, idealization. And then factualization. And now you're totally swung into the position that you were total opposite of just a month ago. But now all of a sudden, it's totally switched. What is that called? We call it marketing, persuasion. It's called shiny object syndrome. You see some muscles, you see some weight, you shift your pick, and Vegas capitalizes on your ass because everybody knows the truth. But marketing can sway anybody to go get another bowl of cereal, a box of cereal from the store, bag of French fries, and a burger. Go Coca-Cola. Marketing is really persuasive. Go get that new iPhone 17. Everything has a trigger point. And when I go back to the Floyd Mayweather versus Zab Judah, I'm not saying that Terrence Crawford is Zab Judah. But what I am saying is every moment that Canelo Alvarez sat at that press conference yesterday, he understood his position. This dude actually believes he's going to beat me. He's going to do whatever it takes to prove that he feels that way. So I'm going to adapt and I'm going to adjust in this moment. I want you to pay attention to the little things. I'm going to adapt and I'm going to act as if right now I'm in kindergarten and I'm waiting for my teacher to ask and call for me up to talk. And this is exactly what I noticed. Terrence Crawford, on the other hand, Zab Judah, you want everybody to believe and everybody to know that he's confident and he's going to win this fight. And if you're watching, you start to believe that Terrence Crawford is really going to win this fight. because he's the nastiest man on earth right now. Because the other guy has made an adjustment and not trying to convince him that I'm the best. No, because that's wasting energy. Things that you know that you cannot do when you're operating at this level of boxing. So what I'll do is I'll allow this to just happen, because this is not the night of the fight. When he sat there and allowed that to happen, he said, I'm going to take a shot at this because I need to really see where this guy is at. So after the press conference, they walk up, face off. He looks him into the eye, and Bud once again is wanting to prove that I'm the meaner, more vicious, most devastating, with the most vitriol driven spirit in boxing today. And as of today, there is no one with more malice in his heart than Bud Crawford. Canelo Alvarez looked directly at him. This is what really happened. I've stood at over 100 press conferences physically. I know exactly what happened. And when he looked at him, he said, okay, I see what you got. You're the kid who's wanting to be in the first grade and skip kindergarten. So here's the deal. I nod my head for you to agree. This is control, people. I told my fighters and taught my fighters to do this. At the stare-off, you're not trying to let this guy seep into your soul, because at some point in time, your soul will make an adjustment. Your soul will go into total panic. Your soul will go into fear mode so that new antennas will arise. See, anxiety is the first calling card to your antennas becoming sharper. He looks at him. This is what I saw, and I know what I'm looking at. He nods his head, and Bud nods his head, because he said, I'm not trying to let you look into my soul, because I don't want you to see what the 7th round will look like at 168 pounds. And I'm playing this entire thing through my soul right now. As I look at your body, super inflated, there are things that you don't understand about being at 168 that I actually had to go through at 160. So I'm not going to let you read my soul. I don't want you to get that data. Wake you up at 2 a.m. in the morning and say, hey, this is what we got a plan for. There is no plan for going up 2 weight classes. Now, as he nods his head, Bud nods his head. See, that is where Bud should not have nudged his head in return. He should have continued to stare into Canelo's soul and read the rest of what's in there. What Canelo did is cut him off in the 7th round. On Sunday, you're going to understand why I said that. They turned. Canelo touched him. Go back to Canelo Alvarez versus Floyd Mayweather. Canelo Alvarez acted exactly like that. Floyd Mayweather put that belt in between the two and asked Canelo to touch it, and Canelo wouldn't do it. Floyd tried again, and Canelo wouldn't do it. Richard Schaefer tried to get him to do it, and Canelo wouldn't do it. He had his mind made up. I'm going to just act like the bully. I'm going to destroy Floyd Mayweather. Go back and watch the entire final weigh-in, Canelo versus Floyd Mayweather, and watch that happen. It's on YouTube. Exactly what he's doing last night, and will probably do again at the weigh-in, It's happened already in time. The difference is Canelo was the initiator of the bullheaded bully, and Floyd was the one who had to play along the same way he did with Zab Judah. I'm going to ask you to go back and look at the fight with Zab Judah. Now, that was the baddest man in the world, on earth, on this planet, or in this universe at the press conference. He had no reason to believe that Floyd Mayweather could beat him. They sparred together. He was quicker. He was faster. He had better feet. He was smooth. He was from New York, Brooklyn, New York. And Floyd Mayweather was half the boxer that he was. His style was boring. He wasn't flash. He wasn't explosive with punching, with knockout power. He wasn't a southpaw. How can he beat me? Those were the tangibles. But the intangibles, or resilience, the intangibles are he understanding how to hardwire your nervous system to go through the jungle alone. And as long as you can go through the jungle alone and make it through to the other side, because you understand how to go in the foxhole that is, when things get very hard and dark. And when the light comes up, you know how to come back up, and you know how to start that trail back in. Climb up in some trees, see what's over the viewer side, so you can see exactly if they're lions, if they're snakes, if they're gorillas, whatever's in the jungle, you can look and you can assess. Assessment is all of this. Can you get over your ego, sitting down at the press conference, chill, let him have the show, to be humble enough to climb the tree and look and prepare for what's coming? Yes, make that adjustment. Because if you go in there with all emotion, all ego, all roar, and no calculations, then what's going to happen to you is exactly what happened to Zab Judah round 5, round 6 through 12. He got his ass whooped because he did not understand that there are fucking levels in boxing. You can't just force your way through the door to play when there are other equations that matter at the highest level of boxing. Shane Mosley, decorated, celebrated, and honest, and just said, you can't hurt a guy. Not you can't cut him and swell him up and puff him. Your bones ain't dense enough yet. You can't walk up to a 200-pound man and punch his bone through the wall, but he can punch yours through the wall. He can cave in your chest. He can put your back against the wall, literally cave in your chest. It's not because of muscle, it's because of bone density. If you take a concrete center block and you slam it against a stick that's wooden, the stick will break. But if you take a stick and slam it against a center block, the center block won't break, but the damn stick will. So no matter what in the force that it's going through, it's going to break. Sooner or later, your physical will break. What's normal to you ain't normal to you. Now, let me take you down through the reality. And this is why you don't see me waver in social media, because I know you guys don't know better. You don't. I'm in physics as a lifestyle. That's what I do. Physiology is all I have ever studied, no matter what course of life I'm in. Let me explain why. Why you need to listen to me? Because not only did I do it in a power circuit, meaning lifting, at 138 pounds, I took 315 pounds out the rack, boom, off my chest 3 times, 285 behind the neck. No excessive anything in my body but Twinkies and cereal, because those were my favorite things back then. Then I took what I learned in understanding how to build power for muscle. This is formulas. You know, if you want to be able to push 285 and 315 pounds off your chest, you need to be able to bend over rows with 185 to 225, because from here to here is your rebound, right? And from the shoulders, pow, you need to be able to pump 225 behind the neck to get 315. These are all calculations. It's a force versus push off, acceleration, and understanding rebound, push, and lockout. You need to be doing tricep blackouts with 185. Those son of a bitches hurt, but you got to do it if you're trying to pump 315 off your chest out the rack, because you got to lock it out. You got to rebound, get the push from the shoulders. You got to have 225 coming off. You got to be able to do that. These are calculations. And then lock it out from the elbows out. All right. You just listen to me, and I'm telling you exactly what you got to do. And the reason why I know it, because I did it. The same thing when it comes down to building a person. From there, I took it to medical, understanding formulas. And then I got drafted into the NFL because of my expertise. And I only got pulled into that. And I'm not bragging. I'm just trying to tell you my credibility. I have a unique ability to understand this. That's why I always call fights right. I've been doing it on YouTube since 2013. You can go and check every fight. I called it spot on. I did it for ESPN. I did it for Vegas. I did it. This is what I do. From 2014 to 2018, I did it for Vegas. Right? John Iceman Scully was on my team. Johnny Wiles, all of us, man. That's what I do. And that's why I got recruited straight off of YouTube into ESPN The Insider. A lot of y'all know that already. I understand fighting, brother. That's what I do, because I understand the physics behind it, and they play a role. And I understand psychology, and I understand how to hardwire the nervous system so that you don't freak out. But when I watch things, I see different things than you see, because you don't have what I have. That's why I have a channel and you're watching it and I'm not watching yours. It's not throwing shade on you. It's just you watch experts. If you want to know how to eat really healthy, you go watch channels like Dr. Oz. They always talk about healthy stuff, right? You want to know how to do things like get the right people in your life. Back in the 90s and 2000s, you watch Oprah. Who are the good people you need to know? Inspiration, Tony Robbins. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's obvious things that you go to when you know there are people who have a unique ability, and these people had a unique ability. You want to know how to act cool? Just go watch a few Morgan Freeman movies. It's just cool as it gets, right? You want to be slick? You want to be quick-minded? Go watch Jack Nicklaus, right? Just people who are just thorough with what they do. You want to know how to become a big superstar? Go watch The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. Never stops moving. Guys like Kevin Hart. So, but when you want to talk boxing, you better fucking be on Master Boxing, because I really know things that people don't know. And I don't watch all the experts. What sounds like expert talk to you doesn't sound like expert talk to me, because I have formulas and I have equations and I understand something most people don't. That's why you watch the channel, because I tell you shit that don't come up on YouTube. I got a series called Untold Science. Go listen to that. It's in a playlist. I made it kind of simple for you. This is not about me. This is about what you don't see. And that's exactly what I teach you, what you don't see. And then I make you clear about what it is you need to look at so that the next time you can look at it and not lose your money because you bet on Sonny. So I gave you the analogy on Zab Judah, Floyd. You have to pay attention to how these press conferences go. And in a few, you're going to see what happens in the weigh-in. And I'm pretty sure that you're going to see a lot of the same shenanigans. One side is going to prove that they are the best in the world today. But lo and behold, you got to understand what happens to your body in round number 7. And if you want to understand what happens to your body in round number 7, just stay tuned tomorrow afternoon. We will cover the rest of this conversation so that you do not go into it blindsided. We're hosting the most fire fight party. It's an event inside of the boxing gym. So not only will I tell you, but I will demonstrate what you guys will see that night. So if you want to see what's going to happen on the night of the fight, then tune in to Master Boxing's page across all social media platforms on Saturday night. I'll tag you guys. Go check the page. You'll see all of the necessary information. Check the stories and take our polls, and all of the details will reside in there. I hope you guys enjoy the weigh-in, and I hope you guys get to play with me. I'm your host, Eric A. Bradley, and we teach boxing. Be blessed.